Hey guys, how you doing? This is Manga etc. and I'm here today to bring you the review for One Piece manga chapter 1053. And so now this chapter is entitled The New Emperors of the Sea. By now you probably read the chapter. You know who's emperors right now. And it kind of took me by surprise, but I'm going to go by the chapter kind of piece by piece and just basically just talk about my thought process while going through the chapter. So first things off, we have the Gorosei, and they're basically just panicking about just this whole news getting out there. And one of the things they mention is that why what was it? Just I'm certain I told you to remove the D off the name. So there's gonna be a new D introduced soon, and I don't know who it is. And the kind of first thing that I thought of, okay, is Trafalgar Law's bounty is the D revealed in Trafalgar Law's bounty on his wanted poster rather, and I couldn't remember if it was or not, but regardless if it is or not, as the chapter went on and you see his wanted poster, it still says Trafalgar Law. So the first thing I thought was be him, but it could potentially be a new character completely, and but if it is, I don't know who exactly I would think that to be. So then obviously we have a big News Morgans being big News Morgans. You know how he does. He likes to get that info. He likes to cause his own sort of chaos within the world. And now he's doing that by spreading what he has learnt throughout the masses. And then we get the wanted posters for Monkey D. Luffy, Captain Eustace Kid, and Trafalgar Law, and now all their bounties are now currently sitting on freebies, and I'm surprised that they now have the same bounty, and I'm surprised rather that it's a whole number kind of, because I thought I would have expected Luffy to have the highest bounty out of the three, but I didn't expect him to have the same bounty, and I didn't expect it to a whole number. So that kind of threw me off. And because now I'm more focusing on Luffy at this point, because Luffy's bounty, we know it to be free bill, I'm guessing, assuming, and hoping that Blackbeard's bounty is higher than that. I feel like Luffy should have a lower bounty than Blackbeard until they essentially clash and Luffy defeats Blackbeard, if that's how the story is supposed to go. But I feel like it should be lower than Blackbeard's because it gives the whole kind of underdog oppression. Even though bounties are not exactly in the assessment of strength level, it still helps to give that kind of impression. So we have this whole bit of the chapter where we just have, finding out that the meals are being prepared. Not really much to say about that there. But what came to my surprise is the scene of Nico, Robin, and Tengu. And finding out that Tengu all this time has been Odin's father, so Momo's grandfather. And he mentions that how he has no intention of telling Momo that he's still alive and kicking. And he does also mention that he reckons that the 9 scabbards already know like who his true identity is. So I don't really know how I feel about that. Well, yeah, it kind of took me by surprise a little bit, I guess, but I wasn't really that fussed about it, in all honesty. But what took me by more of a surprise is that during this scene, we find out that Pluton, the H-Ramp and Pluton, has been said to be in Wano all this time. It was told in us in the polygraph in Alabasta that Pluton is in Wano, and Tengu confirms this. So then after that, we get a look at Green Bull and see what he can do, and it seems to me that he has a plant-based just a plant-based different ability. I feel like this would be the perfect time to just have that narration, just tell us what his devil fruit ability is, seeing how he's using it, but we don't get a devil fruit ability confirmation, so we're still up in the air with guesses. But considering what he does within this chapter and the flower we saw in the last chapter, safe to assume it's a plant or forest kind of ability. But he does mention during his bit of the chapter that he is here to bring in the head of Monkey D. And as we see within this chapter, he's been rounding up the Beast Pirates as well. So then we go into party mode, where we have everybody partying, enjoying themselves as they do at the end of all, if not most arcs. But we finish off this chapter with Kid coming to say, yo, I'm here to eliminate you, Monkey D. Luffy. And that's when we find out who the current 4 emperors are. And I don't think it's not a surprise to anyone to see a Buggy the Clown on said list. That is the last person I was expecting to see on this list, but it just makes you think, what the heck is happening outside of Wano, like in the rest of the One Piece world. Last time we saw Buggy, he was being approached by SSG. So clearly he survived that bout, but it's more of a fact of what exactly went down, because in all honesty, I think it's safe to assume that Buggy himself did not fight in that war. And if he did, and he survived it, then how many other people survived it? I'm looking at Weevil, I'm looking at Boa Hancock, I'm looking at Mihawk. Those three. But it is a big WTF to find out that Buggy is now a warlord. Yes, I know he's got the numbers, and he probably does have territory now. So he does have some of the requirements to be a Yonko, but for that title to be slapped onto him, I just want to know how he escaped SSG and what else he did to get that Yonko status. As for finding out that Monkey D. Luffy is a Yonko now, that is not a surprise, simply because it is known about his Grand Fleet. He just doesn't have territory, but because he has a Grand Fleet, he's known to have a Grand Fleet, and he has now defeated a Yonko. That's probably why the world government is willing to give him that title, rather than, like, for example, Kid or Law, because I think even Law is considered to be under the Straw Hats now. Law and his crew is under Straw Hats now, and Kid just has his very small crew. He doesn't have a Grand Fleet, so that's probably why Tim 2 wasn't considered. But yeah, I think that's everything I've got to say about this chapter. Like always, guys, I'm asking for your thoughts and opinions. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Most importantly, take care. Have a nice day.